Ladies, let's be honest. Every woman wants to be unforgettable. The kind of woman who lingers in his mind long after you've left the room. The one who makes his pulse race, thoughts spiral, and his desire grows stronger with each passing day. So, what are the qualities that make a man obsessed? Let's dive in. The way you move, the way your eyes linger for just a second longer than expected, the way your voice dips into something softer when the moment is just right. These things aren't accidental. They are the unspoken language of attraction, the silent conversation that pulls two bodies closer without a single word being spoken. A woman who understands the power of teasing and anticipation doesn't rush. She doesn't hand over all of herself too soon, because she knows that what is revealed too quickly is never truly valued. A man's mind craves the thrill of the chase, the slow unraveling of desire that keeps him in a state of wanting. When everything is given instantly, the hunger fades. The anticipation dies. But when a woman understands the art of tension, of holding back just enough to keep him hanging on the edge, she owns his thoughts, his breath, his pulse. She becomes the fantasy he can't shake, the craving he can't satisfy because she always leaves just enough undone, just enough unseen. It starts with the smallest things, a look that says everything but promises nothing. Promises. A touch that lingers, but only for a moment, leaving behind the ghost of warmth that makes him want more. The way you lean in close, as if about to whisper something dangerous, then pull back before a single word is spoken. It's the pause before the kiss, the hesitation before your lips meet, the way your breath lingers between you, making him feel like he might go mad if he doesn't close the space between you. Some women give too much too soon. They think that being completely open, fully available, is the way to a man's heart. But obsession isn't built on what is given. It's built on what is withheld. When you give him a taste, but never the whole feast, he will spend his nights dreaming of the moment when he can finally have all of you. His mind will replay the way you teased him with your presence, how your fingers barely traced the surface of his skin, how your voice dropped to something lower, something that sent a slow heat crawling down his spine. Men don't just want love, they want mystery. They want the promise of something more, the feeling that there is always another layer to discover. The best lovers are not the ones who give themselves all at once, but the ones who understand the slow build, the delicious agony of waiting, the unbearable pleasure of knowing that more is coming, but not just yet. There's a reason why the most unforgettable nights aren't the ones that explode too quickly, but the ones that simmer, that stretch out like an unsolved puzzle, that make time itself feel like it's bending. The way you draw out the moment, the way you let the tension rise just enough to make his breath shallow, his hands restless, his thoughts consumed. It's an art. And the woman who masters it is the one who will always leave him aching, addicted, lost in the thought of her long after she has left his side. When you understand this, you hold all the power. You control the pace, the rhythm, the hunger. You don't let him have everything. You let him work for it, crave it, lose himself in the wait. And the longer he waits, the deeper his need becomes. Until he is no longer just interested, he is obsessed. There's something about a woman who walks into a room and owns it without trying. The way she carries herself, the way her eyes don't seek approval, the way she moves like she belongs wherever she stands, it's intoxicating. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't wait for permission to be desired. She simply exists in her power, and men feel it before she even speaks. The air around her shifts, the energy in her presence demands attention without a single word. It's the kind of confidence that turns heads, but it's not loud, it's not forced. It's effortless, like a slow-burning fire that never dies out. A man can sense when a woman is too eager to please, when she molds herself to fit what she thinks he wants. There's no thrill in what is too easy, no fire in what is already his without effort. The ones that leave a permanent mark are the ones who challenge him, who don't bend so quickly, who let him know with just a glance, just a shift in their tone, that they are not here to convince him of their worth. He has to rise to meet them. He has to earn his place. That is exactly what makes him crave it more. It's in the way she answers without rushing, how she lets a moment stretch between them, making him lean in just a little closer to hear her next words. It's the way she holds his gaze with unwavering certainty, not looking away first, not giving in to the pressure to soften her stance. That kind of presence is unforgettable. It lingers in the back of his mind long after she's gone. making him wonder why he feels slightly off balance when he's around her. There's a difference between arrogance and self-assurance. One demands attention. The other commands it effortlessly. A woman who knows her value doesn't have to prove anything. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't apologize for her standards. She is not afraid of silence, of space, of making a man work a little harder to reach her. And that, more than anything, makes him want to close the distance. It makes him want to unravel the mystery that surrounds her, to find the softness hidden beneath the strength, to be the one she lets in where others have failed. She understands timing. She knows when to hold back and when to let go. She doesn't rush intimacy because she knows that the mind is the first place attraction begins. She plays in the space between words, between moments, between breaths, drifts, and that is where he loses himself, wondering what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what it would take to make her surrender just a little more. She doesn't need to remind him that she has other options. He knows. He sees it in the way she moves, in the way others gravitate toward her, in the way she never acts as if she's waiting on him to decide her worth. That kind of certainty is rare. It's magnetic. It makes a man not just want to be around her, but desperate to be the one she chooses. Because she could have anyone, but she is in no rush to choose. There is a tension that builds when a woman knows how to be just out of reach, how to keep herself just beyond what is easily grasped, not by playing games, but by simply refusing to shrink, by staying true to what she knows. She deserves. Horrible. By making sure that when a man finally gets close enough, he understands that she is not like the rest. And once he's felt that, once he's tasted what it's like to be in the orbit of a woman who knows her power, nothing else will ever compare. There is a certain kind of woman who lingers in a man's mind long after she has left the room, not because she is the most beautiful, not because she is the loudest, but because she understands the power of emotional depth. She knows that the strongest desire doesn't start with the body. It starts in the mind. She pulls him in, not with desperate words or empty flattery, but with the way she makes him feel. She speaks in ways that make him rethink everything he thought he knew about connection, about attraction, about himself. She is the kind of woman who doesn't just listen, she hears him. She leans in just enough to let him know she is present, but not so much that she loses herself in the process. So she makes him feel seen in a way he didn't even realize he needed. There is something in the way her attention lingers, the way her eyes hold his, that makes his pulse quicken without him even understanding why. It's not just about the words she says, it's the way she says them, the way her voice lowers ever so slightly when the conversation turns personal, the way she pauses just before revealing something meaningful, making him hang on to every breath. She doesn't fill every silence. Fillets. She lets the space between words stretch, letting the air between them grow heavy with unspoken things. He finds himself leaning in, wanting to close the gap, needing to know more. The pull isn't just physical, it's something deeper, something that stirs in the part of him he rarely allows anyone to touch. She doesn't just exist on the surface. She invites him into a space where he can let his guard down, where he can say the things he wouldn't say to anyone else, and in that space, she becomes unforgettable. Men don't always know how to explain it, but they feel it. The difference between a momentary attraction and a woman who leaves a mark on their soul. She is the one who challenges him, who doesn't let him get away with shallow answers, who calls him out when he tries to hide behind distractions. Distractions. She isn't afraid to dig deeper, to press into the things that matter, to ask the questions that make him hesitate before answering. And that hesitation? That moment where he has to decide whether to keep up his walls or let her in? That's where she wins him over. She doesn't pretend to be someone she's not. She doesn't mold herself into what she thinks he wants. She owns her emotions, her intensity, her passion. She is not afraid of depth, and she makes him want to dive in with her. There's something intoxicating about a woman who isn't afraid to show her layers, who doesn't hide behind small talk and distractions. She makes him crave more than just a fleeting touch. She makes him crave the way her mind works, the way she thinks, the way she feels. And when a woman like this finally lets herself be vulnerable, when she shares the parts of herself that aren't easily seen, it feels like a privilege. He doesn't just want her. He needs to be the one she trusts, the one she opens up to, the one who gets to see the fire and the softness all at once. That's what keeps him up at night, what makes him reach for his phone just to hear her voice, what makes him ache for the moments when it's just the two of them, lost in a conversation that feels more intimate than anything physical ever could. A man may be drawn to a woman's body, but it is her depth that makes him stay. It is the way she makes him feel something he can't explain, something that lingers even in her absence. The kind of desire that doesn't fade, that doesn't burn out. It only grows, pulling him back to her, again and again, no matter how hard he tries to resist. There is something undeniably magnetic about a woman who knows how to create tension, a kind of electricity that lingers between every glance, every pause, every unspoken word. She doesn't rush to fill the space with noise. She lets the moment stretch, allowing desire to build slowly, teasing without ever needing to say a word. She understands that the most intoxicating kind of attraction isn't in what is given freely, it's in what is hinted at, what is barely out of reach, making him crave the moment he finally gets closer. She is the kind of woman who doesn't just give herself away. She holds back just enough, making him chase, making him wonder, making him work for every bit of her attention. And that effort, it drives him wild. Because she isn't predictable. She isn't easy to read. One moment, she is warm, inviting, making him feel like the most important man in the world. And then, just as he leans in, just as he thinks he has figured her out, she pulls back slightly, just enough to make him realize he doesn't have her yet. That push and pull keeps him on edge, keeps him addicted to the thrill of trying to understand her. She knows how to make the smallest moments feel intense. The way she brushes past him, the way her fingers linger for just a second longer than necessary, the way she leans in close enough for him to feel the warmth of her breath, but not close enough to touch. She makes him aware of every inch of space between them, every fraction of a second before the next move. It's a slow, delicious kind of tension that makes him lose track of time, that makes his pulse race without him even realizing why. She is unpredictable in the most intoxicating way. She doesn't follow a script. She keeps him guessing, keeps him wanting more. Some days she is playful, teasing, making him laugh until he forgets everything else. Other days she is quiet, watching him with eyes that say more than words ever could. And in those moments he realizes he is hooked. Because she isn't just a fleeting thrill. She is a mystery he never wants to solve. She isn't afraid to take her time. She understands that anticipation is the most powerful kind of seduction. She doesn't rush to the end. She enjoys every second of the journey, drawing it out, making every touch, every glance, every pause feel like a promise. She knows that the mind is the real battlefield of desire, and she plays the game better than anyone. She lets him feel the weight of his own longing, lets him sit in the sweet agony of waiting until every part of him aches for more. She doesn't just show interest. She makes him feel like he is the only man in the world. When she is with him, her attention is undivided, her presence undeniable. But she is never too available, never too easy to claim. She has her own world, her own passions, her own life that doesn't revolve around him. And that makes him obsessed because he knows he could lose her. And that thought alone keeps him coming back, keeps him wanting to be the one who finally captures her attention completely. She leaves an imprint on his mind, a presence that lingers even in the quietest moments. When he is alone, when the world is still, it is her voice that echoes in his thoughts, her touch that his skin still remembers, her absence that makes him restless. And that's when he knows she isn't just someone he wants. She is someone he needs, someone he can't shake, someone who has awakened something in him that refuses to fade. She moves with a confidence that is impossible to ignore, a presence that commands attention without a single word. It's not arrogance, not an act, but a deep-rooted certainty in who she is and what she deserves. And that certainty, it's intoxicating. It wraps around him, pulling him in, making him feel like he's standing in the gravity of something powerful, something irresistible. She doesn't beg for validation, doesn't seek approval. She simply exists in a way that makes him want to be worthy of her attention. She carries herself like she knows a secret, one that he desperately wants to uncover. There's something about the way she holds his gaze, the way she tilts her head ever so slightly as if she's studying him, measuring him, deciding if he's worth her time. And that uncertainty drives him crazy because she's not easily impressed, not swayed by empty words or meaningless gestures. She makes him feel like he has to earn every smile, every touch, every moment in her presence. And that challenge keeps him addicted. She understands the power of silence. She doesn't rush to fill the gaps with nervous chatter. Instead, she lets the tension build, lets him sit in the weight of a moment stretched just long enough to make his pulse quicken. She knows that desire isn't just about what is said. It's about what is left unsaid, what lingers in the space between words, in the electricity of a touch that never quite lands. She makes him lean in, makes him chase, makes him crave the next move before he even realizes what's happening. She is selective, not just with her time, but with her energy. She doesn't waste herself on people who don't appreciate her, doesn't give too much too soon. She knows that the most addictive kind of attraction is the one that is earned, the one that feels like a privilege, not a given. And when she chooses to let someone in, when she finally lowers her guard just enough to make him feel special, it's like stepping into a world that no one else has access to. It's a drug, one he never wants to give up. She doesn't just make him feel wanted. She makes him feel needed in a way that doesn't diminish her own strength. She gives him purpose, makes him feel like a man, like someone who is capable, desired, powerful in her presence. She doesn't play small to boost his ego, doesn't shrink herself to make him comfortable. Instead, she lifts him simply by standing beside him, by challenging him, by making him want to be better. And that is something he will never walk away from. She never reveals all of herself at once. She is layers upon layers of depth, a puzzle that can't be solved in one night, in one touch, in one kiss. Just when he thinks he knows her, she surprises him, shifts, evolves, keeping him on edge, keeping him hungry for more. He realizes that he could spend forever trying to understand her and never truly reach the end of the mystery. And that's when it hits him. He's hooked, lost in the gravity of a woman who refuses to be anything less than unforgettable. She possesses a rare kind of energy, one that lingers even when she's not around. It's not just her presence that captivates. It's the way she makes him feel in the quiet moments, the way her absence is felt just as much as her touch. She doesn't chase, doesn't cling, drain, doesn't smother. Instead, she moves like a whisper against his skin, like a memory he can't escape, leaving traces of her essence in every space she's ever occupied. And that makes him crave her in ways he never expected. She understands that attraction isn't just about the moments of closeness. It's about the build-up, the anticipation, the way she makes him wait. She lets the tension simmer, lets it pulse between them, never rushing, never giving too much too soon. She is the art of patience, the slow burn that turns a simple touch into something electric. And when she finally leans in, when her fingertips graze his skin, or her lips hover just close enough to tease, it sends a shiver down his spine that he never wants to end. She has mastered the balance between surrender and control. She knows when to take the lead, when to guide the moment with a quiet confidence that makes him weak in the knees. But she also knows when to let go, when to let him feel like he's the one unraveling her, discovering pieces of her that no one else has touched. That duality keeps him on edge, keeps him hungry, keeps him locked in a dance where every move feels like a new discovery. She speaks without words, communicating through glances, through the way she bites her lip when she's deep in thought, through the way her breath catches when he gets too close. She knows that the most powerful kind of connection isn't always loud. It's found in the stolen seconds of silence, in the way his pulse races when she simply looks at him like he's the only one who can. She doesn't need to say everything out loud because her body speaks in a language he is desperate to understand. She keeps a part of herself just out of reach, not as a game, not as a game, not as a manipulation, but as a reminder that mystery is the fuel of obsession. He doesn't reveal every thought, doesn't expose every emotion at once. Instead, she allows him to peel back her layers piece by piece, making every revelation feel like a privilege. He never feels like he's figured her out completely. And that unknown, that unpredictability, keeps his desire alive. She leaves him wanting more, not just of her touch, not just of her time, but of her energy, her presence, her very essence. He finds himself drawn to her even when she's not there, replaying moments, searching for the next opportunity to be close again. She is not just a passing infatuation. She is a force, a need, a lingering ache that he never wants to soothe. And by the time he realizes just how deep she's embedded herself into his mind, into his skin, into his very being, it's already too late. It's already too late. She owns him without ever having to try.